here on stage. It's great to have you here. Jürgen Freier, Highcon's Vice President, Sales and General Manager for Europe. And the question is, how many converters have been able to successfully transform their packaging and display business to meet the new challenges of today? The answer is not so many. But Mr. Freier is trying to change that. Our next keynote will present real case studies demonstrating how Highcon's digital cutting and creasing solutions take paperboard packaging and display to the next level, boosting efficiency and capacity while reducing the environmental impact, not only in production, but through the supply chain. Please welcome our next keynote speaker.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm very happy to see you here and to listen to what Highcon has to say about a very interesting future development in the production chain. I want to make it a bit lively. I don't want to share too much technology. The aim is more to give you some indication of what others have done and how they have succeeded. So what is very important, in the very early stage, many of you have learned about Highcon, including me. I saw it the first time 10 years ago in Europa. It was quite interesting. And in the early years, everybody had some experience. And this experience, in the meantime, we have to overcome this. And I'll give you an example why. When we were kids, we were playing a game. You have a candle, and you have your finger. And you move your finger through the candle. And the aim was to make it as slowly as possible. And what was the outcome? You had some smoke on your finger. And this is exactly what the early perception of die cutting, laser die cutting is. If you have a slow laser, then you have some smoke. In the meantime, the lasers are so much faster that this phenomenon is completely gone. And you can see that in the applications that we have on our booth, that our customers have. We only share examples, live examples from customers. We don't produce ourselves. Everything is sellable. That's the first thing. And the second big indication why people don't buy is they believe in corrugated. The format is too small. Because in corrugated everything is big and we have only 70 times 100, so it's too small. And what is interesting here, all customers that worked successfully with us had this objection in the very beginning. And some keep it. These are 90% of the market. Fine, we concentrate on the 10% of the market that go the way and challenge themselves. And I'm sure these are the ones visiting this fair and sitting here. That's why I'm very excited about the presentation. So in the very early days, long times ago, last century, prepress was analog. This is completely gone, not even reason to talk about anymore. After that, printing became digital. In the meantime, there is also some more mature markets on digital printing. Everybody knows this is the future anyway. All the discussions here were about digital printing. So digital printing still grows 14%, but I consider it a mature technology. Finishing is now. That's why it's so interesting. It's a pioneer work that's going on, but you don't need to be afraid. The pioneer work is done already. Now it's a more interesting phase for most of it. You can see that we have a lot of implementations in Europe. We have across Europe machines everywhere, well-proven use cases. And the good thing is there's no used machine available because everybody keeps the machine as it's doing its work. Also, the customer that use our technology have done the pioneer work working with the big brands to overcome their objections. In the meantime, you can see here it's only a selection of some brands that are working with our technology. It is approved by the biggest brands. So this is done. So somebody who's going to go into this market now is no longer fighting with this challenge. Just to give you an idea, and then I go to the customer cases. we have basically two series of machines. One is addressing the folding carton market and hardcore, and the second is addressing the corrugated market with the beam machine, the larger beam machine. We have smaller and bigger machines, faster and slower. These are the categories basically we are talking about. But all do the same, and this is this. And here we have some very interesting, innovative technology. We develop the die tool on the fly in the machine with the polymer that is creating the crease markings while we are producing from the data. So there's no need for a die tool anymore coming from outside. That has huge advantages. I come to that in a second based on the case studies I talk about. And then is the laser, which is very much in registration with the creasing matrix. So you die cut with laser and you crease with mechanical crease before. And then you have the stripping unit, which replaces all the manual stripping that is very labor intensive, and it's integrated in the machine. That's basically what we are offering, and this is what changes the life of many manufacturers. And here are the case studies. I have 4 of them, and you can imagine I cannot deep dive completely. I can tell you many customers don't even want to share. They use our machines because they consider they have a competitive advantage. These are the ones that are more open and really would like to share. So the first one is Living in the US, in the UK, sorry. Many of you know them. For those of you, it's a more or less 15 million privately owned company, quite innovative in commercial printing and in commercial packaging. So what they have done in the beginning, they do a lot of displays. And their aim was, as they decided during COVID, when everything was going south and everything was difficult cost-wise, they tried to optimize their costs and at the same time to cope with better delivery times and short-term demand. So what they've done, they also had the objection in the beginning to say, the format doesn't fit. The substrate thickness doesn't fit. But they were open to challenge them. And they have looked at their production and they have identified items that they did the traditional way and they produce it and adapt it to the Highcon possibilities. So they changed the substrate they use. They identified individual items like these inside displays, and they do it digital, with a huge advantage of having a very fast production. As you can see, it's very manual, labor intensive to do all these individual strippings, but also the production is very intensive and the die costs are very high for this kind of application, while we have almost no die cost involved. So that is a very interesting case. By doing this, they had also some achievements, concrete numbers. They could save more than 4,600 dies, meaning they saved 92 tons of wood. Obviously, dies are of wood, so they could save 2.5 football fields of rainforest, which is sustainable-wise a huge achievement. But at the same time, they could eliminate 72 tons of carbon emission, because all the preparation of the dies before is eliminated, and this is the equivalent of 35 flights from London to New York. So really significant. But it's not only that, it's also cost-wise. They saved so much money by doing this that they amortized the machine in a year and a half. So that's really interesting. So a second example is Heuchemer, which is a German packaging company. They have our machines also since a couple of years, and they had a different motivation. They wanted to go for new businesses, completely different. So they have developed a business model, they had to challenge their go-to-market model, and what they've done, they put some machines, digital printing machine, and a Highcon die cutting machine, and then they just started. And from then, they did also what Lini did, but on top of that, they developed a web shop, and they offer on the fly, in the web shop, the ideal quantity and individual products that people just want to have, which are no standard products. And you are very flexible in your production, so you can do things that you were not able to do before. I just give you an example. This is from Navaxo. You can see these are some cuts which are very fine, which you never could do with a conventional die cutting system. Here you have a beam, this is a honey box. Or you have another example. This was not done, this was done in Hungary on another customer. You have a box, a chocolate box, with no plastic inside. Everything is monomaterial, also plastic eliminating, and everything is done on a Highcon in one go. So these are examples where you can create new kind of products, which is what this whole is aiming for. And then, of course, in the second step, you have to have the equipment first, you have to go to the market, and you learn internally to deal with this. And also you have to educate your market, because as you can imagine, not everybody of our customers is willing to take this immediately. So you have to talk to them, you have to educate them, you have to tell them what is possible, and you have to overcome the objections. This is a process they went through, and they are a very happy user of the technology today. You can see this is the website of the brand they have launched just in 2021, only dedicated to digital manufacturing, and we use it in our sales pitch all the time. We go to their website and you can order from their website what's possible, and it's all produced on our machines. So we really appreciate you test this out, and then you order some boxes and you get immediately a live example of what is possible in nowadays world. Another customer, Schumacher, well known obviously. They also have, again, an interesting, but again different motivation. They, first of all, they are in the plant where we are using the machine is in the Netherlands. It's a small plant, it's not a big one. Schumacher is huge, but this is only one plant where it's used for also corrugated display production. It's interesting. When I look at our most recent deals, everything was in the digital, in the corrugated display area, because this is where there is a very, very strong application case. The display area itself is a shrinking business, as you know, but many of them want to go to packaging. So you prepare yourself by having an investment which makes a lot of sense in your current business, and you prepare yourself to grow into a new era where you can challenge the bigger guys with new applications. Also, it was hard for them to find people doing the job, and people were going to on retirement, replacing people. This is very much labor-saving technology, and of course, it's highly sophisticated, and people appreciate working in this environment with the digital future. It's much easier to find people who are willing to work in this environment. But what's also interesting, they use it to remove short runs from the big conventional machines and free up capacity by doing that, smaller disturbing jobs. The same is true for traditional printing and digital printing, and this works as well in the die cutting area. So the profit is not only coming from the application itself, it's also coming from removing short runs from the long runs on the big machines. So you free up a lot of capacity. That's why our philosophy is not to replace the traditional, but to work hand in hand. That's very important. So when you have 5 big machines or 4 working machines, you should challenge yourself if you buy the 6th machine or you add a Highcon in addition to the first machine. That may make more sense. And here's one last example, then I guess my time is more or less over. It's TIM. Some of you may have seen the TIM presentation this morning, the Internet of Packs. They go for very short individual run lengths, minimum order quantity down to 1, and no lead time. That's what their concept is, but I don't want to steal their presentation. They have a presentation tomorrow again at 2 o'clock, and they have another presentation today. So we do a joint presentation with Tim tomorrow, but I can tell you Tim is a very strong use case for us, and we develop future machine generations together. That's where we are, and I'm really happy to answer any of your questions. Thank you very much.
So, we are at the end. Thank you very much, first of all, for your insights, and if you look at the audience, are there